So one of the biggest things that bothers me about the media today, besides the fact that it seems like every news station is just a political ad in one way or the other. I don't want to argue either side. Definitely don't want to get into politics right now. One of the biggest things that bothers me is it seems like they are just obsessed with selling negativity and fear because they know it triggers our fight or flight response and we're likely to come back so they get more advertising. So how do you, knowing what you know about health and fitness, balance, you know, the fear of getting unhealthy rather than inspiring those to be healthy, right? Is that question? I don't know if I said that very clear, but how do you differentiate fear mongering someone into being healthy versus inspiring them to want to be healthy for their own freedom? I think is the way you put it.
Yeah, you know, it's an excellent question, and honestly, I think it does take a little bit of both. A lot of the people that find their way into my door are scared. They're in a position where they feel like they're kind of at their last resort, and fear can certainly be a driver. Fear is a natural function of our nervous system. It's telling us that the situation we're in, there's a major threat. We need to get out of this situation. So, like, functionally, there's a lot of value there. It's certainly way overboard when you start talking about the media. But if a person is feeling that fear, if they're feeling that anxiety about their situation, that's a driver to do something about it, right? And so that fear, that anxiety, that is going to be probably a much more potent driver than the carrot of, oh, you can go and climb a mountain. If you've never run a 5K and like, oh, you could run this marathon. That's not a carrot that anybody really wants if they've not done the steps up ahead of it. But you're gonna die if you don't lose this weight. Like, that gets people moving. So it depends on where you're at in your path. If you're in a place where there's a lot of things that are, kind of hanging over your head, and you got to move, you got to do something, that fear is your friend, and you got to lean into that fear, and you got to fight that fear, and you got to do the things you got to do to get there. Unfortunately, a lot of people get in that place, and instead we sedate ourselves, and that's where alcohol, tobacco, excess carbs, sugar consumption, caffeine, social media, there's a million different things that are going to create a distraction. And it takes the pressure off because now we don't have to think about this fear all the time. But it also prevents you from taking action. So that means the next time that you're not distracted, that fear is right back in your face. And if the way you deal with it is by sedating yourself, you're going to go right back to that sedation pattern, because that's how you've decided, that's how you've taught yourself to deal with that particular problem. Now, if you're in a place where I'm pretty healthy, well, now you don't necessarily have this massive, driving force, not this fear and anxiety. And so then you have to do some searching. Then you have to really get in touch with your why, which is the first conversation that I wind up having with people when they come to the gym. So why are you here, right? Generally, I'll get something like, oh, I want to lose a little weight, I want to get a little stronger. And that's maybe a 2-week goal, right? Again, that's a carrot that doesn't have a lot of power.
That's the outcome. Yeah.
Right. So if you go a little deeper, you ask a little more. So, okay, why do you want that? Why do you want to lose this weight? Well, maybe I want to be, more attractive to my husband. Maybe I want to be able to do my job better. Maybe I want to be able to go out and maybe play with the kids, play with the grandkids. Maybe I want to be able to have this long, healthy, active life. Maybe I just, saw that my mother just died of heart disease and I don't want to wind up like her. And the deeper you go, the more you find that there's a lot more underneath that, losing a few pounds and getting stronger. And the clearer you can keep that why in your mind, the more it becomes that driving force. Absolutely. And so if there's nothing that's driving you to be healthy, you got to find your own drive. And digging into that why is far as I've found, it's the best way to do it.
Awesome. I love that. I love the response, and especially how maybe I unfairly asked it, but for me, I don't want to live my life in fear, but I love how you differentiated when you have fear, lean into it and understand it rather than hiding from it, right? I think you use words sedate yourself, but I think that's a perfect example, and hopefully anyone watching that, it clicks for them as well as it clicked for me.